Hi, it's Neil here from Wedding Help NI, and I'm along with the professionals today, and it's our long form podcast. We don't know what we're going to be discussing, but we're going to try and make it through, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Try our best.
So, introduce yourselves, of course, Conor, starting
Yes, I'm Conor, I'm one of the lead singers, and myself and Mark founded the band nearly 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm Janet. I look after all email correspondence. I deal with all the couples and any really queries or questions, checking availability. That's what I look after.
I suppose Conor and Mark take us right back. The professionals isn't what it is today. It's like I was at your day in the Canal Court, and it was like a well-oiled machine. But take us right back to the start. How did the professionals
Right
come
back to the
about?
start, I was playing in a wedding band, and Mark was roadieing with a wedding band, and I worked in a music shop in Belfast at the time, and
Right.
he came in as a customer, just looking at drum stuff and all the usual, and got talking to him and says, I have an original band, would you be interested in playing drums? He went to one rehearsal and went, you're not too good at this original stuff. Are you interested in starting your own wedding band?
Aye.
And it all just kind of spiraled from there. But nice saying that, it didn't just happen. Do you know, the first lot of weeks of finding people, and I didn't think it would have been as difficult as what it was, but
Aye.
I would say it was 10 times more difficult than what I thought it was going to be. If even.
Just setting up. How long is the band on the road now?
We reckon about 17 years.
It was 2008 that conversation happened, and then 2009 was when it really got momentum.
17 years.
17, 18 years. Like
Yeah.
it's
Mental, so what I say. And at the
makes you
start-
feel old when you say it like
I
that.
suppose at the start as well, like you were lucky, there was a management and all. Did that sort of all come about at the start, or how long did that sort of?
There's a lot of chasing
Yeah.
involved there, wasn't there?
So that kicked off around April of 2009.
Right, so that was quite quick. Like whenever you think about it, like because most people would go and play and stuff, but it shows the skills that you've had.
Well, saying that
Obviously, doing
too,
that.
you were working with the Chevys,
Yeah.
and they were with Michael McGill Entertainments, who
Aye.
we ultimately ended up with,
Aye.
and there was a lot of chasing involved because number one, their roster was full.
Aye.
They didn't need anybody new coming
There's
along.
some amazing bands too.
Exactly,
Just
you know.
at that time, like
Yeah.
there was a lot of great bands.
And it was constant phone calls. Did you listen to that demo? Did you listen
Aye,
to that? You
aye,
know? And I was like, we're too busy. We'll get listening to it. And then they eventually did listen to it, and they went, we're having a showcase in Belfast. If you just want to come, we'll give you 20 minutes,
Aye.
and we'll take it from there. And we done well that day.
How many bookings did we get that day?
I can't even remember. It was just, we know that you can dress it up and say we got a dozen or maybe 2 dozen
Aye.
or whatever else, with no diary. Do you know what I mean? So we were
Aye.
completely free, no matter what date
open
people
net.
asked for.
It was there.
It was there. Do you know?
And I suppose the modern touch on it as well, probably to the bands that were there at the time. And I'm not saying fantastic, the Chevys and all were amazing, but you were a new modern something,
Fresh band,
something
so,
different,
yeah,
fresher,
A lot of bands were in the twilight, if you want to put it that way.
Aye,
Do you know,
aye.
they weren't
Well,
ready
not,
to.
not in a bad
no,
way.
not in a
because
bad way.
someone's
They had their peak, and
Aye.
they were the band to be. Do you know,
Aye.
you'd Love Bug and all at the time too, Eurovision contestants,
Aye,
and all, do you know
aye,
what I mean?
aye.
Big names.
Aye.
And as you say, I think even at the time you can kind of look back and say there was the Housemates, who were the young band at the time,
Aye, aye,
and nothing else below that. There was no real new bands coming on the scene.
aye.
So it was a breath of fresh air probably too, that people weren't going, they played my mummy's wedding or something like that. This was something new.
And I think that's a big thing with couples as well. The days of, your mum going, oh, we had this band and this is who we're going to book. That's gone. Like it's
Yeah.
completely gone. Like
Yeah.
you know that now. Like if you're at a wedding fair or something, it's not the muller going around and saying, oh, this is what you should have. And stuff,
You probably notice as well, even a typical wedding would have been that the parents paid for it.
Aye,
As well,
aye,
do you know,
aye.
and they had a lot of sway in who they recommended, do you know,
Aye.
because if they were parting with their money, whereas now it's the couples
Aye,
that are
and
doing
that's
it themselves.
Really them go with it.
Yeah, do you know, so probably a bit of both there, but there's been a massive difference in the sway of the parents, definitely, yeah.
And I suppose even go back to 2008, big change in the entertainment scene as well. You had a lot of live gigs, where you sort of
Aye.
where people might have been paying them to see the professionals, whether it be Canal Court or whether it be other venues there that would have been doing them sort of nightclub venues.
Yeah. One place that we
You
loved
know.
playing at the time was King's Head.
Yeah, I remember that. Aye.
Do you know, every
that was
every
good.
Saturday or Friday, Saturday and Sunday they had live
Aye.
bands, big bands.
And I suppose that was great for couples to get along and see the band as well and stuff, but that's not something now, do you know, and do you find that whenever you're chatting to couples now, do you know, where can we hear the band? Because you are more, I'm sure you get that question all the time.
Quite a lot, and we do encourage people to come along to our showcase that we have twice a year. But we have scattered, you know, public gigs maybe in the Canal Court. Where maybe the Lansdowne.
Few and far between, really.
But
you know.
It is very hard. So if there is the opportunity for a couple to come along, maybe to a hotel venue where maybe the band's playing at an event, you know, we can ask the couple to come in maybe and view the band for maybe 10-15 minutes. I know it's not a lot, but it does give them the opportunity to see, you know, the band performance and, you know, the crowd engagement.
I think there's something to be said about that, because it shows, look, you are a wedding band, you are, you know, pardon the pun, a professional wedding band. And that's what you're doing. You're doing weddings. You're not a pub band. You're not.
But it's saying,
you know,
saying
and
that.
there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's not.
But
I remember for years we tried not to bracket ourselves as a wedding band. We're a function band. Or
I remember you saying this years. I remember you saying that.
We used to actually coin it.
This was one of his big things.
We tried to coin it that we were like a modern show band. Do you know what I mean? Because it didn't want to be a function band, because in our eyes we're kind of like, well, then you're just doing function rooms and you're limiting yourself there too. You kind of have a broader name, but we've embraced it this last while, and obviously, you know.
Did you find at the start, I suppose, well, because of the bands that you were working with and Alexa Love Bug and all, that was all very show bandy and stuff, and I suppose you were trying to keep up with that whole scene as well.
That goes back to him with the Chevys.
That's what I was going to say. Like back in them days in 2008, those bands weren't wedding bands, and they weren't really wedding orientated. They were dance hall bands, and you know, you had even nightclubs then where they were all gigging
the Chevys would have done the country, so they would have done the Allenham Arms and Bundoran, which would have been a country gig.
At the same time, the following night, they might have been the Pulse, a
nightclub,
do you know what I mean?
And that one in Castlefin, what do you call
it? The River Rooms?
River Club,
yeah. So you had all those.
Forgot about that. It was a Saturday night dance.
Yeah, Sunday night.
Sunday night.
We done that once.
Aye.
Once, like, and it was like Scarface, you know, and it was all neon lights. And
do you know what? I would have done a pub across the border. There was a wee pub, and you could walk across the bridge to go to the River Club.
Right.
And I remember going on the River Club, and your feet, you know, as soon as you stick the floor.
Stuck.
It was different levels stuck, like, you know. You know, I didn't think you'd move at all, like, you know.
I'm sure there's some hum in there.
I think that's a crash now.
I think it is, yeah. We pass it on the way to
I don't think we stick the floor anymore, you know. But no, all them gigs, like, you know, were amazing.
So you look at gigs now, it's one piece stuff,
do
you know, or at the most a 3-piece. And it's for a quick turnaround, because live music, it's kind of strange because live music's, there's been a resurgence, but it is a quick turnaround. They're going to have 3 or 4 acts a night.
And
as
it's
opposed to
in-house PA.
In-house PA,
That one's on 9 to 11 and ours on 11 to 1.
Yeah.
And you can't really do that with your style of band. I don't think you can in a way, you know. Like I've seen the setup you have at weddings. It's a production would be the only way to put it. You know, the backdrops come up, their lights. It's not a small setup, like it's all, you know.
Do you know, and that's part of like when we kind of embraced the wedding name, where we're kind of like, look, if we're going to go for it, let's go full hog, put on a show. Let people know that you're not just a run-of-the-mill band who's just going to show up, do a set listening, kind of go, right, that's us. Do you know, so we have invested heavily in the production.
How did you find that transition, I suppose, trying to move away from, move away from pubs, because I know you'll still do that odd gig and stuff, but how did you find that moving in that this is what we do, and it's nearly like a uniform thing now? And even that day as well with Admin, like it was so, I was blown away. Like me and Peter were there and we were blown away. It was, you know, everything was it was like a well-oiled machine. You know, the couples were coming in and you were saying, like, you have 4 bands for couples to choose from, and you were saying, well, this is, so Act 2 and Act 4, I thought this is amazing. Like, you know, I was blown away, like, you know, it really was.
It's like playing an instrument then, you know, it's practice. As such, the more you do it, you know, that I'm not saying the easier it gets, but it becomes second nature, kind of, you know, and
everybody knows their place and knows where they should be and what they should be doing.
But did you find as creatives, I suppose you're creatives, that's a hard thing to do. Then they bring that, and that's where your role must have been really pivotal in this whole thing, because I think as creatives, you know, and I do the same. Do you know, you're writing things down on scrap bits of paper.
I go to town and I come home and Conor says the phone was ringing and there's an email address there, and I'm like, where? And it's on the back of an envelope.
When did you come onto the whole fold of the thing?
It must be about 10 years ago, just before I went off. We had a son, Killian, and I went off on maternity, and then because I used to work in the Canal Court and I was weddings and events manager, and the hours of work didn't really suit with Conor, obviously, and Conor and Mark's business.
Yeah.
They were working obviously weekends and nights, and that would have been my role really as well. So something had to give, and there was the opportunity then to come along and help the boys, and that's when I came along.
And it was probably perfect for you too, because you know, that's what I say, creatives don't do.
No.
You know, I know myself, like, you know.
Do you know, going from the likes of booking agent like Mickey McGill and things like
who
that, who done everything for us.
Had your diaries.
Yep.
And you didn't have to worry about anything.
Yeah,
like,
you didn't have to worry, but it had its limitations too, like trying to book time off. You know, if we were going, right, we're going to take this as a week off on holiday, and then you got in touch with Mickey or even Nikita or Mihal, and you're like, I'm going to take that off, and there's 3 inquiries in, and you're kind of going, right, and you're always in the back foot of going, right, well, when can I take it off, and there's inquiries in there. Whereas at least when Janet come on board, it was in-house, and we could kind of look and kind of go, well, look, let's keep that.
Did you find that hard as well, I suppose? Sorry, did you find that hard as well? Because all our bands on at that time, they might have had maybe 8 bands on their books and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you find that tough?
Not really. What I loved about working with Mickey and Mihal was the bands that they did have on board, we all got on like a house on fire, you know, and it was same again, it was a well-oiled machine, and they run it really well from their end too, you know, so the only kind of negative was that you didn't have as much control over your diary that you would have liked to have had, you know,
if you wanted to
if you did want to take a holiday off and things like that. Now there was times if you did need something off the day, like we do, you know, circumstances that kind of can't be helped, like Holy Communions, for example. Mm-hmm. We were able to, I was booked for Holy Communion, and we got in touch with the bride and kind of said, look, I'm really sorry, it's only happens once in his life. We're looking to see if there's a possibility. If you want me there, I'll be there, but if you don't mind. And she was like, listen, you've 4 amazing bands, I'd be more than happy to take one of the other ones. And you would have got that the same with Emmons, but because the bands were so different and varied, a lot of people made it turn around, but that's not what I want.
No,
do you know, whereas at least with us in-house, we're all similar but different, you know.
We were chatting about the Chevys to the professionals. The Chevys was a rock and roll sort of, really like a tribute sort of thing. Like, it wouldn't be a change of, you know, it would be completely different.
That's exactly what it is.
With the professionals, there is similarities, and the setups are very much like I've seen the setups.
Oh, I know, they're uniform.
It is very similar. I would say it's the exact same. Like
the will be the exact same soon, but they're very, very similar.
They're very similar at the minute. Like two of them, ourselves and Paul, are more or less identical.
Yeah.
And then Jerry's and Joe's are nearly identical, but we're hoping that all 4 will be identical. You know, just so there's no difference.
So, take us in the steps of building a bit. So it was obviously the first professionals was yourselves. You were your drummer, of course, and then
I was the guitarist.
You were the guitarist.
And Paul was the singer.
And Paul was the singer.
Yeah.
How take us through the steps of building each band, or how that came about. I find it fascinating because I know just keeping one sort of PA. I think he's mad or something.
You could write a sitcom about it at the beginning, because there's so many mad things that you like. You're in on the circuit, so you kind of, if I told you, you'd go, I believe that. Whereas outside, I'd be going, that's fabricated. But like, I remember we bought a PA off Marty Fay, right? A good mate of ours, and Marty was like, I'll get this on the road. I'm getting rid of a PA. A couple of quid. It didn't cost as much, and he was looking rid of it. And we were in Benedict's one night doing a residency that we had at the time. And sound was cutting out, and we're kind of going, and turned around, there was smoke, and we were like, PA's on fire. Do you know? But it was all we could afford at the time. And, do you know, things like that there, finding people, like Marcus Music, where I worked at the time, was perfect. That's how I found Mark. And then obviously, you know, he was like, talked me into doing this. But it's also where we found our first keyboard player, John Layton. James, who was our original bass player, was a friend of mine from school, but he was a childhood friend of yours, and a couple of wee links that kind of just clicked on their own, and that was fine. But at the start, it was difficult maintaining players because any money, I told you about the PA going far, we had to go out there and heavily invest in equipment with money that we didn't have. And like we're still using some of the equipment. We invested proper, you know, like our PA system, we spent God knows how much money. You're probably talking the price of a luxury car, do you know what I mean?
Senior PA, like
and the fact that it's still...
I always get a good laugh at bands. I come on with 2 12-inch tops, you know, and the bands are winning and winning. Like,
you know, and I'm glad we did it that way, do you know, but at the start, trying to retain players when you didn't have the gigs, and then you having to pay them on the wages that other bands were offering them, who did have the gigs, and you're kind of saying, I need to keep you, so we'll pay you. And we were just handing money out left, right and centre for 3 years. 3 years, we didn't make a penny.
And I would say closer to the start, like 2008, well, maybe not at that time, there wasn't great, but there was still more opportunities, I think, then than what there is now, if that makes sense. So I would say we get players easier now today. Or what would you think?
Probably just because of social media. You can connect quicker with players and you go, oh, this guy, I've heard him there.
You get one's contacting us.
Aye. And he can be a good fit. And you kind of get subconsciously, you get to know them as in, oh, well, he's not doing any residencies, or he might be a good fit for us.
Aye.
Maybe I'll reach out to him. Whereas years ago, it was just your network, like your phone book, basically.
Aye.
And you were having to reach out to people and then say...
off other people's recommendations.
Yeah.
I got your number from Mickey Sands and the Chevy, and they're kind of like, no thanks. Do you know?
I don't think there's some couples see other, you know, with a band, you know, I always say, like, you know, I'm a one-man show, and I've nobody to rely on or nobody to turn around and go, you know, where's such and such tonight, or where's that is such a thing, you know, and you're doing that 4 times with 4 different
Well, at
bands.
the start it was difficult enough for one. I remember one night in particular, we went to pick one of the boys up and he was like, my stuff's in a lockup.
Oh yeah.
I don't have it. And we were like, it's no use to us. And we kind of just had to leave him at the side of the road and phone for a tap. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't, that's one thing about weddings, as you know yourself, you can't be sick.
No, exactly.
You can't be sick, and you can't, it has to go on.
Like, you know,
and there's been times, like, since I've been the singer, that I've arrived with no voice, and only that our band are full of so many talented singers that they can carry me. Do you know what I mean? And things like that. But at the start, trying to maintain just the one band,
the music's the easiest part.
Yeah,
it's all.
The actual gigging and playing is the easy part.
It's the fun part, at least. You know,
it's keeping players and keeping people. It's all personalities, and you just to try and it's a juggling act. You know, you're like, how do I keep him happy? You keep him happy, and you know, keep it consistent so that there's a strong show every night.
And how did the second band come around then? What year did you decide to do that?
Before we even got there, with the first band, Paul had took ill and he had to get an operation on his throat to get nodules removed. So he was told he couldn't sing for at least 6 months.
Right.
And we had to plough on. So with a couple of other boys in, and as Mark was saying there about controlling egos, keeping a balance with not having any fallouts.
Well, Mark likes to be the biggest.
He is, and he's entitled to it. Do you know what I mean? He's entitled. Have you seen him reversing the van?
I've seen pressures and all, you know, running.
I was great at reversing that van, to be honest.
Do you know, the likes of that was difficult, and then obviously with some of the people that we had in, it just wasn't working out, and would change things completely, and that's when I became the singer.
Did you find that hard personally yourself? You know, because you were...
The singing was fine.
Guitar,
the singing was fine. It was the talking and the interacting. Like, I couldn't do it. You know? And now you can't get me to shut up.
As you can see.
Poor
Mark can't get a word in here.
But you are very natural now, you know, like as a front man of the band, and you probably never pictured that.
Because I love it.
Like,
do you know what I mean? And I really enjoy it. I know it's a bit cheesy. I never intended to be a wedding singer. Do you know, as a musician, you kind of look down your nose at wedding singers and things like that because you want to be playing Wembley or Croke Park.
I think that was very, like, even 10 years ago that was very much, but now I think it's become more of a where people look at wedding bands and go, well, there's a lot more You know, there's a lot.
Some of the best players in Ireland are in
Aye,
wedding
do
bands.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's just you know there's no other market really there
Yeah.
for that. Like,
And it's
you know.
consistent. You know, they can go on tour with someone and be a session musician. Once that tour ends,
Aye.
you're sitting in the house going, right,
You've had
when am I going to the next tour?
You've had a boy in particular that has said has toured all around the world with a pop star,
Aye.
and had said he would jump into a band like ours in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
I
no problem.
know, like I remember I was chatting to a bass player down in Enniskillen one night, and he'd been touring with the sort of country bands
Yeah.
around England, and he was touring with a production company that was always doing theatres. But he said, I just, you know, you were literally going on the theatre at 3 o'clock. You had 6 singers that wanted to go through their every song they wanted to go through for that night. And he says, like, you know, it just wasn't work. You know,
Yeah.
you were there all day, and he's now playing in a wedding band. You know, and he says,
Yeah.
far more happier. You know, I've got more of a life.
And you're
back
sleeping
as
in your own
well.
bed.
That's
Aye,
what
that's a
my
big
friend
thing
said.
too.
He says, like, it's being on a tour bus for a year. He's like
Aye.
more or less a year in America touring, and he was like, just be able to go into your own bed is amazing
Aye,
every night.
and there is something to be
Yeah.
said about that too. Like, you know.
Yeah,
And like you can't get, you know, he was never able to have a girlfriend or anything because he was just constantly on the road.
Oh, yeah.
You can't start a family. You can't settle. He had no roots. He only got a house lately.
Aye.
You know?
that's another thing too. Like just even without touring, what we do because you're away at the weekends and stuff, it's hard to establish relationships as well. You know,
What age were you whenever you both sort of started on the music? Or?
Oh, music in general.
Aye, have you always been gigging like before you had the band? Were you sort of
Yeah.
I
doing
was-
a bit of gigging or?
I remember I went to St Mary's, which isn't far from here, and I would have been gigging on a Thursday night, and there were the sort of gigs that they didn't want to pay you, so they give you a couple of pints. And
Aye,
I would have been getting into school on a Friday morning, hanging,
Aye.
like, you know. It would have only been 2 or 3 pints. It's
Aye.
still the same, 2 or 3 pints will knock me, but you were gigging from then, like.
aye,
Funny, I bumped into my geography teacher the other day, who told me off when I was 5th year. He says, you need to be studying here. Just knock that gigging on the head. And he was laughing. He says, seems it's turned out all right for you anyway. So it was quite ironic.
I think that's a big thing as well. You know, whenever you get on, like I started gigging at like 14 and 15, and whenever you get on that, you really know no different.
Exactly.
And your weekends, you don't, you know,
Yeah.
like somebody says to me, "Oh, what about your weekends? You never have a weekend off." You sort of get used to it, you know. It
You
just
do.
becomes
We didn't
sort
thank
of-
you for a Saturday night out anyway. It's
no.
bedlam. You're better going out on a Tuesday night. And
Is that
having a
maybe
great
just
night.
our ages? Though? Just say that. We just want to thank
It's
you.
more family events you miss out on. You know, if there's like a big birthday
Aye.
or a big family barbecue in the summer, and they say to you, "Well, sure, come on up and stay until you have to go to your gig," and you're like, "No,
It's just teasing you.
I don't want to be saying goodbye to everyone."
I know.
So that was sort of the first band, and then you took over the singing in the first
Took
band.
over the singing with the first band, and
Then
Paul was
got-
ready to come back, you know, and the only issue was because when Paul was off, we had other singers in. We didn't have to do it. Mickey McGill had to contact all the bride and grooms, go, there's been a change in the lineup.
Aye.
Then he had to do it again whenever I took over, and we didn't want to then have to phone them all back and say, Paul's coming back, or they'd be going, because it'd be all different bride and grooms
Aye.
probably, I'd say, so you didn't want to then start having to make all those phone calls again, but we didn't want to lose Paul.
Aye.
Paul's a fantastic asset, like, and a brilliant singer. And you know, he'll run through a brick wall for you. That's one thing
Aye,
you have to
aye,
give him. And we didn't want to lose him, but at the same time, we had noticed that contrary to the first wedding fair we done with Mickey McGill, where with an open dairy,
Aye.
that was long gone, and people were then going, "Want to book your first date that date?" And you were just going, "Sorry, we're not." And then you're going, "God, I sold that date a million times."
Aye.
If we had another band,
Aye.
and then the kind of light switch kind of went, well, what if we did have another band? And we kind of looked at people that we didn't want to just pick randomers, we wanted people we could rely on. And we started looking at people that had stood in with us, people that were reliable, and people that we knew could play and got what we
Aye.
were about, and kind of put the band around Paul then.
Did you find that hard? Like, if you used to have always, every time I see you, you're always playing in the same band.
Yeah.
But did you find that hard with another band on the road, and maybe you used to be in the sort of
Well, that was-
in charge of it? Did you find it hard to? Oh, I wonder what's happening with that.
Yeah, not being in control really.
I
not
know
knowing.
even with like my wedding extras business. you know, like I'm sending, you know, it'll be Dean or Wes will be going to do the photo bus
Yeah.
and stuff, and like I'm texting, you know, how'd you get on tonight? One was,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
2 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to my bed deal, like this is, you know, but did you find that hard?
There was
Your-
an element of that, but that was
Paul
when
was
Paul
with
was
us.
so you sort of knew that
trusted
you
him
were
from the
safe
word go,
hands.
yeah.
Aye.
And then, you know, as I say about picking the boys to go with them, there were people that we knew got what we were about and had been on the circuit. Like we did handpick everybody.
That's the hardest part of the whole thing, getting the right musicians.
Aye.
You can have like a musical virtuoso, but he's not going to be the right fit for what we're after.
And I think you'll know this in music as well. You know, you sort of said somebody that's, you know, really musical or something. You know, there's people there be like, oh, I'm jazz, you know,
Yeah.
and you know that, you know, as musicians, you sort of
Yeah.
know that. And you're going, well, you're not, but I'm looking for. Did you find that? So you had to really go through that to find the right person.
You're here to entertain.
Aye,
You know.
you can't really be. You can't be too picky about what you're playing as such,
Absolutely.
you know.
Do you know, and with the likes of that, you know, when you do get someone who can play, they'll want everybody to know they can play. And,
Aye.
and we're sticklers for saying less is more. Leave enough room for the band to shine. You
Aye.
know, so right, have your moment, but now it's the keyboard player's turn, or let the bass player have a run. Do you know,
Aye,
it
aye.
has the kind of balance to band. Do you know,
Aye.
and I know we sell it that it's the front man, and you know all 4 front men are great, but they're not as great if they weren't with their bands. Do you know what I mean? It's a unit.
Yeah.
They all support each other.
The bands don't interchange, you know, like so it's all solid units.
So some questions. What makes a wedding dance floor packed, fees empty? That's one for you.
I don't know.
It's creating the energy and how you
It is.
position the songs. So, like most wedding bands play the same songs, but it's how you present them songs and deliver them.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a formula. Do you know what I mean? It's reading the crowd. Is
Yeah.
the main thing. And as Mark says, if you can create an energy from the word go, they buy into you straight away.
Yeah.
Do you know? And
Even whenever I'm contacting the couples, and instead of saying what requests would you like, you know, whenever I send a set list across, I'd say what's going to get you up on the dance floor, what's going to get your parents up, and they'll say, oh, my daddy loves to jive. So the boys would have just a wee snippet of what, you know,
And
what.
then they sort of know what they
we
you
have
know
that
what
in
you're
our
going
notes.
for. Like.
Yeah,
I
just
think it's really important too.
I always say that you want to be looking around the dance floor and seeing your Uncle Tom with a tie around his head, and you want to have all your family and friends on the dance
Trousers
floor with
rolled
you.
up and-
all that. And it's, you know, it's cliche and all that is what it is, but you want that. You
enjoying
want
themselves.
you do, because when we were walking in, it's a family event, and we're not part of that family.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you're walking in as an outsider, and you're kind of going, I need to not insert myself into their family, but
Blend
we got to go in here and just kind of blend in, as you say, and just
Get in.
gel as if they do know us. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of people, it might be the first time they've ever heard of us. Obviously, the bride and groom have been researching us and things like that. But you want to go in and kind of say, it's all right. You know, we're not outsiders. We're all here to party, and that's
one of your strengths when we do a smaller wedding. Like Conor will make it a lot more personable. So like if you're upstairs in Clandy Boy or whatever, it'll be more like he'll just chat away to them and be like what he's want to hear and go around the tables and have a laugh, and you can do that. Whereas in the larger
big wedding,
weddings, it's
yeah.
more of a
It's
you're
a
knocking out the
show.
Well,
performance.
at a big wedding as well, you can have have a big dance floor in front of you, and
Yeah.
I always find even, you know, conquering from the dance floor to the end of the chairs,
it's quite a distance.
it's nerve wracking
Yeah.
too. So it's like I don't do my own show, and I sort of have to go out into the crowd. I have to, but
Yeah.
you know, in a small sort of like if you're saying upstairs in Clandy Boy, the tables are going to be nearly there in front of you,
Yeah.
and it all feels so
It's like
much
it's like a
closer.
house party.
It's
That's
easier.
it, that's the way
It's easier to
we
gauge
describe
where
it,
it's
yeah.
gone somewhere like the Tully Glass.
Yeah,
Like,
big massive
Or
room.
that
massive room.
in Sleep Russell, like that's a difficult one when it's fully opened up.
Aye.
You nearly need 3 PS to do that there, you know, to reach
I
people.
always find with it, like somewhere like a Sleeve Russell, I always go to a corner and nearly pick that corner my own wee stage, and
Yeah.
then because the tables are a bit closer,
Yeah.
so a girl run from the three or five tables and then pull them in that way,
Yeah.
rather than maybe going in front of the stage
Yeah.
where the band would be. Well, it's good as well because it lets the band get set up in peace without me sort of annoying them. But it also you're getting into a corner. Someone at Jackson's and Ballymafae's the same. Get into a corner, work with 3 tables, and then pull
And
the
pull
rest
them
of them in.
And that's the
Yeah.
thing, you know as a performer yourself, you need to feel comfortable in yourself,
Oh,
or else you
big time,
cannot
big time,
perform. Do you
big
know?
time.
And what like Mark said there about the smaller weddings. There's times I turn around to one of the boys and I go, "You do a song. I'm going to go out here and just chat
Aye.
off the mic." Do you know? And
Aye.
they'll be singing a song. And I'll go around with my phone and just kind of go, "What are you into?" And per table, do you know?
Aye.
Just take even one request per table. Just kind of have a wee bit of banter, a wee bit of slagging, go around, and you might only get 2 or 3 tables, and you're back up and you're going, "Right, here's the request. What do you think of these?"
Aye.
And you bring the rest of the crowd in to kind of, you go, "He wants Johnny Cash." "No, sure, we've done Johnny. Just want more Johnny Cash." And you judge by their reaction. Then you kind of go, "We're going down a different avenue that we might have done last night. Let's go with it."
Also gets their attention as well. You know, you're not just playing music. Now they stop talking and look up and go, "What's he talking about?"
Yeah.
You know, and then the other trick is to get the girls on the dance floor and the rest will follow, kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know,
that's something that we were told from the beginning. You know, they were like,
That's
if you get the girls up,
hand sort of
but
thing, isn't it? You know,
if the girls come up, so you do Westlife, the girls will
Aye.
all come up and dance, and then their boyfriends or partners will all follow them up.
Aye.
I mean, whereas if you're going to be AC/DC, the girls might all sit down and might get a group of lads from the stag do.
Aye.
Hello.
And you know what I mean? But well, AC/DC always works, but you know, you kind of you follow that route.
doing
kinda
Westlife now brings more guys.
more
up.
boys up.
It's crazy, like. But-
You should think you're a boy band as well for a minute whenever you're doing it.
before, before the Greys. There's a reunion too.
I suppose take us to the admin side, and you know, going through that process of you know, couples contacting you as well. Do you know, is there lots of questions, or what would be the questions you'd find would come up?
Yeah, there is lots of questions in regards to the setup and the set list, things like that. Can you cater for, you know, jives, country? But it's really a smooth transition really from the initial inquiry then to the booking process, and then we have the optional extras of the saxophonist, you know, if they wanted anything else, maybe drinks reception, that we can accommodate for them as well, and then invite them to come along to the showcase and to view the band, or if they've seen them previously. Normally, yeah, the emails are flying in, and I'm snowed under.
I wouldn't want that job. Put it that way.
No,
But then coming closer to the wedding, then you won't hear from us. You know, obviously the bride and groom will book other vendors, things like that.
Yeah.
And then it's 6 weeks normally before the wedding, whenever I'm in contact again, to go through set up times, song requests, and any other requests that they may have for the evening.
Yeah, and how do you find that, like first dances and stuff? You know, you have a great. You have a great repertoire, you know.
First
and
dances, yeah.
would you, if a bride requested to play first dances and stuff, is that something?
If we can do it justice, it's
Aye.
99% of the time it's yes.
Yeah.
But say like one song that I would love to do but just couldn't replicate is, you know, Elbow. You know that. You know, too much strings in it. For example, it's an orchestra.
Yeah.
It's a
Things like
class
that. There,
song
it's a
too.
brilliant song, but they're the sort of ones we kind of go, we couldn't replicate that production. We
Yeah.
can do a version if you want. We can strip it back,
Do
which
it
has happened.
acoustically, yeah.
We've had ones turn around and say, "Can you do your entrance set you free for
Aye.
first dance, but just
Aye.
on
Oh, yeah.
piano?"
That
And you're
happened.
like, "Yeah, no
yeah.
problem." Do you know? So we'll give anything a go, and some of the songs that we'll learn, you'll never ever see them again or hear them again.
Yeah.
And then, like, we were on holiday a while ago there, and we're sitting there, and I was at the pool going, humming along this song, and I hadn't a clue, and I was like, that was the first dance from about 3 years ago.
Aye.
Never heard it again since, apart from
Aye.
a couple of weeks ago, do you know. But we'll make it our priority if we can. But on the flip side, like, you'll get this more, where you've bride and grooms coming through going, here's 20 songs I want. And that goes back to what you were saying about
That's
difference
hard
in their
too,
personality.
because and it can be even can be hard to sort of, people don't realise a band, you know, where it's like there's normally four musicians, five musicians. Instrumentation there, you know, you don't have an orchestra behind
Yeah.
you, and people can. I know if I'm getting DJ set lists and stuff through, I can do any of that. It's
Yeah.
no problem.
There's more flexibility with
There's
the
more
DJs.
flexibility.
very much
All
so,
I'm
yeah.
doing is playing a song. You know, playing the original artist. Sometimes it's not possible with a band. You know,
Yeah.
and it's just.
As I say,
not
we can
there,
do a
you know.
version of it,
Yeah.
but it mightn't have the same energy because instrumentation, you know, or even just the production quality of some
Yeah.
of the songs. But you would always say, anything we can't do or the band can't do, we'll pass on to the
The
DJ.
DJ.
Yeah.
Because there is more flexibility.
You offer that package with the DJ, isn't that right? Or-
Yeah, and then the DJ, then the smooth transition then for the DJ straight after.
I think that's a big thing as well, that smooth transit, you know, that you're not
There's
sort
no
of,
gap, yeah.
aye, that it's all running, you know, that there's nothing between your band
They
and
don't
DJ.
get a chance to sit down.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You know, because you're limited for time. You know yourself, you're limited.
Oh, by the time
It's the fastest day of your life.
Yeah.
And when you say that to bride and grooms and go, yeah, everybody says that,
Aye.
all of a sudden they stand talking to me and they're going, is it this time already? And you're going,
Yeah.
It's 9
yeah.
o'clock, yeah.
Yeah.
And then venues can be different. We know that ourselves. There's venues that can be really good with times.
Yeah.
There's venues that can fall behind at times, you know, or your day might just fall behind as
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
and it sort of puts everything.
Be
like,
anything from a bit of traffic or, you know, going for
Photograph.
photos somewhere a bit further than you might have
Yeah.
hoped, you know, and they all have a knock-on effect,
That's right.
you know, so with that, with the DJ aspect as well, it's very important just to let that go straight in from us saying good night to the DJ straight in after.
Yeah. What do you think's the biggest entertainment mistakes couples make?
Too much entertainment, too
much,
too
yeah.
too many things
Totally
going
agree
on.
with you. I would totally agree with you.
Too
You know,
much.
casinos and magicians and everyone all happen at the
I've
same
even
time.
seen, you know, and I've seen it a few times where, you know, I think it's my own act anyway. You know, if you have, like, let's say a hypnotist booked, don't book a singing with her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, and
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like I've seen that many times. Like I remember doing a wedding last year, and they had a singing with her. They had me, and they had Fiddler Adam, and it was
Yeah.
just
It's a lot.
it was
Yeah.
so much. And then there was a band coming on, and I thought, my goodness, what's
And they're all
You know,
brilliant.
oh,
do you know what
oh,
I
I
mean?
guess
But,
wants to
yeah,
talk during the dinner as well and catch up how they might do.
it left the band. The band were, do you know what I mean? It was
Everybody's
it was
wrecked.
11 o'clock
Yeah.
before they were really getting going.
So there was a
because-
wedding we were on with
Yeah.
yourself there a while ago, and it was
Yeah.
11:30 before we were starting.
Aye, you know, that can be that. Like if there's a lot going on,
Yeah.
like, you know, it's great to have, you know, have an act there if it's blends in with the band or have an act during your dinner. But they have too many. It can be
Yeah.
just
And then there's arts dancers, there's
Right.
Kayleys,
Yeah.
there's saxophone,
Yeah.
there is all these other extras.
Aye.
And as you said,
Options,
people
you know.
see on Instagram and they
Aye,
think they
aye,
need
aye.
it and want it all.
That's
Yeah.
the other issue. That people walk around these, you know, wedding shows and they're like, "Do I have to have all this?" They don't. They feel overwhelmed. Then and you're like, "I didn't even know half this existed."
Yeah.
It's kind of like a pressure, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I suppose there is a lot of pressure too in couples because their friends are getting married and
Yeah.
all that, you know.
But you know what? Like, it sounds cheesy. The only thing that's important is the couple.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? Even if, like, there's God knows how many weddings that don't have bands. Do you know?
Yeah.
Obviously, you could say that affects us, but it doesn't matter. As
Yeah.
long as the couple are there and they're getting married.
And you're planning at the minute, of course, you
Yeah.
are a couple.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're going to book me, obviously, you don't want anything
Oh,
else.
Did you not get? I was
I
invited.
didn't get the
Did you
email.
not get the invite?
I was waiting for the email. Oh, how's that planning going for you?
Yeah, so we only booked the date about 2 months ago, and the date is in 2 months.
My
But
goodness.
yes, everything, because we obviously are friends with a lot of vendors and you know, there's a network of people there. It actually made it really easy
Yeah.
whenever we decided to pull the trigger. and
Connor
go.
agreeing hasn't done
No,
one
he's
thing,
done nothing.
and he's going, "Yeah, it's real easy."
What's the date again?
I was exact. Do you know? I was exact same. Like whenever I know so many people in the industry.
And it's hard then to pick. Do you know when you have
I
friends?
stay completely out of it. Like, you know, Jimmy,
I'll tell you
Jimmy done
how
all
lucky-
our
But
organisation.
I'll tell you how lucky we are. We've had vendors phone us up and saying, if you need me. Do you
Oh,
know what I
very
mean?
good. Aye.
And one's offering free of charge and things like and you're kind
Yeah.
of going, you know, you're just
Yeah.
blown away by
Aye.
how kind. This is a great community we're in.
Aye.
But as Janet says, we've worked with that many people. Like, for example, I wanted Andrew McKenna
Yes.
and take photos. I love working with him. Do you know what I
Aye.
mean? It's not that I'm out taking photos, but the crack's brilliant. And I knew that he would have been keeping us relaxed. He wasn't available. But then we've got Lifting the Veil,
Yeah.
who have done our kids' school photos, and they've done Holy Communion photos. We get on with Nicola really well from school,
Aye.
and we know that she's going to be.
And the kids and everything.
kids are gonna relax so much
and
more,
everything,
yeah.
you know, and it's
So it's kind of people have came and says, right, I would love to do it, but at the same time, there's people there like I didn't want to ask Nicola at the beginning because I didn't want to torture people either,
Aye.
because we are in this and don't want people thinking that you're only looking a favour.
You're
and
only
things
looking
like
that,
that
can,
there.
that can be an awful, thing. Like
You know?
that was partly at the time. Like I got married, I let Jimmy just, and I didn't even ask.
Yeah.
Because then it meant that she was sending a message to somebody, and that was.
You were out of the equation, really.
They didn't even know unless they were really nosy. But
I'll tell you.
All you needed to know was how much it was going to cost.
Unless they went on and really looked through and said, "Oh, hold on, that's our partners,"
Yeah.
And I thought that was sort of good because I didn't want anybody. It can be really hard, can't
Yeah.
it? Like,
Well, the first question we get asked by everybody is, "Who's your band?"
Who's your band?
Who is your band?
We're not having music.
Who's ours?
We don't want too much,
Silent.
We'll scale it all back.
No, we're having Blue Moose.
Oh,
Do you
very
know?
good.
So a lot of people would have been saying, "Oh, you're gonna have Joe, are you gonna have Paul or Jerry?" I want them to enjoy themselves.
Aye,
They're
I
guests,
do a lot of
you know.
weddings in the south. Like say, Blue Moose would be, they'd be very much deep south where
Yeah.
they'd be doing weddings in Galway or
Yeah.
Kilkenny with them and
Yeah.
stuff. And they're a fantastic band. And you have done sort of put everything together in two months.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Not
The only thing I think we were stuck on was seamstress. And
Right.
that's where Wedding Help really came.
Aye,
I was
aye,
like,
aye.
oh, I need to. So I went into the vendors chat and
Aye.
asked, and Donna from So Handy,
Aye.
she was like, yes, I'm free, I can help. And I was like, thank goodness.
And that's a big one because like, you
don't think?
No. It's
Do you
one
know,
of
you
them
think you've
things.
got your dress and you're fine.
Yeah.
And then, because a lot of bridal shops offer maybe a seamstress and things like that.
Yeah.
But just obviously with the wedding being so close, I needed to get one and I was like, I'm screwed. But Donna came to the rescue and she was fabulous.
What tips have you got for keeping it bright or budgeting and stuff? Did you find that hard?
Yeah.
It
In
was only
terms,
going to be a small wedding.
It's
and
only gonna be a
it's
small
all
wedding.
it keeps doing is growing numbers.
but at the same time, there's nobody you could cut.
No.
Do you know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
the one thing I would say. Invite the people that you love,
Yeah.
and invite ones that you know you want there, and you couldn't imagine having it without them there. Do you know what I mean? And just enjoy it. It's like we've been on the other side of it, where I've said I'm talking to the bride and groom, and you're like, the day's nearly over.
Yeah.
So it's the same with the build up to it too, and yes, we are doing it in a couple of months. That's granted. It's going to be flying in quickly, but there's no point stressing over it. If something's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. And
numbers are always a big one. I remember whenever we our first date was supposed to be then during COVID, and at that time it was down to 50. So so we ended up changing the date and stuff. But do you think how could you run away 50?
Yeah.
It just wasn't the word. I think we ended up it was sort of COVID, but it ended up just it was about 110 or 120, but
we sent out to save the dates with a couple of accommodation choices and things like that, and everybody replied saying, "I've booked my hotel."
Aye.
And we were like, "This is only to save the date."
Aye,
And we were
aye,
like, there's nobody you can chop. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But we
yeah.
didn't invite people for the sake of
No, we
inviting them.
didn't.
We
No,
invited
we-
people who wanted to be there,
Yeah.
and thankfully, they can all go so far. Do you know, the invites are coming back in now, the actual invites, but everybody said yes so far. So
So tell us, as well, you are professional musicians, and I suppose you can read a crowd. How important is that, to let you do your job at times too? Would that be right?
It's really important because there's a reason we do certain songs in certain orders, to be able to keep things flowing, and also like, for instance, if a guitar string breaks, we know we're going to jump straight to Valerie. There's no guitar at the start of that. He can change the string, or if there's some sort of the bass player needs a tune, when we can adapt to move things. Whereas now you're seeing couples wanting to send 30 songs to you and want it done in that order, and you're like, you don't know until the night if it's going to work.
yeah,
And that can be so, I seen even, if I'm booked to do like a hypnotist DJ set, they send through a full sort of list of songs. Can you do all these songs during the DJ set? Sometimes you're going, it's not, it might be
Stops the
stuff.
flow
It does
really
stop the
often.
flow, yeah.
It might just not be music. That's sometimes the music you like's just not what what's
What's
going
gonna work for
what's
your
gonna
guests.
work.
Yeah.
the best way I've said, we've had this discussion a million times, and something that we always say is, you don't see the bride and groom going into the kitchen and saying, "This is how I would cook the steak."
Aye,
Do you know what I mean?
This is how you bake the cake.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're trusting people's expertise, and yes, of course, there are songs that make mean something. That's a question you asked too. when you are asking for first dances, is there any songs that mean something to you?
Yeah.
Do you know? And Joe will always say, like, you know, did you listen to something at the hen do? Was there an anthem?
Aye.
Do you know? So yes, do send across suggestions, but they have to remain suggestions, and if we can implement them,
Of course, yeah.
100% we will.
Yeah.
It's your day at the end, you know, at the end of it. But when it does take over, as Mark says, there's 30 songs there. We can't put on a performance because you're constantly on. It doesn't flow right. How do I change this, and how do I kind of try and make it weave? It won't.
And that's one thing. Like I've seen the bands, usually literally, you know, it's
We knock it out.
Bang, yeah.
it's one day though. There's no take a break.
Tell me about it.
No.
But it has to be.
It
like
has
that.
to. We have small
You know.
sets within each other, so we know, for example, if we're playing at the minute, we're doing Pink Pony Club, and it's similar to, you know, the dun, dun, you know, when you're hearing the chorus, the stabs, and then you're getting into Westlife when you're looking like that because it flows, because it's the same. Do you know what I mean? And then it'll go into a different wee group of songs. We'll keep it at 3 songs.
Yeah.
Kind of like you were saying about the country stuff. 3 songs that are similar. It means then if it's not working, you know, you can chop it, but you can also then judge the crowd and go, right, ratio wise, there's probably more people dancing to that than there was the last one, so let's flow a wee bit more with that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're locked in to something that's 30 songs, there's no.
We kind of need to know, because Conor
I think
plays
that's
multiple
so
instruments
important too with a wedding band, because I have been to weddings where I've been working with bands, and you know it is more of that sort of, you know, what do you do? Keep the thing,
Yeah.
but you just keep it. You know, it's that right from you start. If it's a 2-hour set, user
non-stop.
Yeah.
it's as a 2-hour set.
You
that's
can't be
what you-
taking breaks. Like the reason we do them in small groups of 3 then as well is during those 3 songs, when you are reading the crowd, you can turn and go, right, we'll do ABBA next. We'll do an ABBA medley, or
Yeah.
right, let's do a rock set here next. Or you say it during it, and that means when you finish that pop set or the country set, you're straight in, and you're not going right. Stop, lights down. What do I do next?
Yeah.
You don't have time to do that.
So what should couples be looking for whenever they're booking a wedding band? What should they be investigating and stuff whenever they're looking into maybe booking a band?
I would probably look beyond a promotional video and see what you're actually going to get on the night. Equipment wise as well, you know, like, are you going to get like a PA that's capable of doing the job? Proper lighting, professional audio and professional lighting, basically. See what's the stage going to look like. I'm not saying you're going to ask for like specific details, but you know, you can just kind of like get a feel for it, or look on their social media, or ask them directly of the photo of the stage or whatever.
Yeah, you can look at a promo video and kind of it sounds great. Obviously, it's
That's
been
really
recorded and
important
stuff.
too,
So
because it gives the guests a wow factor, doesn't it? Like whenever they see a big setup and stuff,
Yeah.
and you know,
Yeah, big
and that's
production.
really important. You don't want to sort of coming in and going.
do you know that
you
brings
know,
you out when we were loading the gear in? Oh, you too. Oh, more gear, you too. Oh, brilliant.
well, it does bring that too, but it is important. I think it is important. Like even you always have a backdrop up whenever you're
I think
doing
it
a wedding
sets,
and stuff.
yeah.
And
it gets people excited then when they come back into the room and they're like, oh wow,
Yeah.
right, cool, this is
Yeah,
going to be
because a
great.
lot of the
Yeah.
venues, they do empty the room for us to set up, and other times they don't. But you know, the guests are mingling then when they turn back around. And like I know, I set the lights up for us, and once I get it all hooked into the laptop and I hit that first button, and they all just come on at once.
yeah.
Even we're impressed, you know. You're kind of like, wow, that's great,
It
you know.
looks apart.
But
It
that-
Sets a tone,
it
really.
does set
Yeah,
a tone,
you know.
We're relieved then, because then Connor's not going to be in a bad mood.
Well, this is not working. No.
Is Jude's on the lighting then, and do you enjoy
I,
it? sort of?
it's not that I enjoy it. I have the least to set up as it is. I have my microphone and a guitar and a banjo. Do you know, the other boys are getting stuck into PA and other aspects of things, extension leads. You know, wee things that you just kind of think, is that not done for you? Do you know, they do all that, and I get stuck in. See one person doing it, it's peaceful. You know that A to B has to work, and I'm the one that's doing it. So you're not turning around going, well, why is that not working? I can kind of go, it's this or it's that. You know, it's just
And that's exactly
Can
like
only
Janet
blame
doing the
myself.
bookings.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like it's one person, and she knows it inside out. Too many cooks would ruin it all.
yeah.
Did you find that whenever you were sort of looking after it for a while? Did you
I
find
remember
it
one night in
difficult?
particular, I rang you and says, oh, I've just sold whatever the date was, and you went, what was the bride and groom's name? And I said, whatever. And he says, I've just sold the date. It's the exact same date, 10 minutes apart.
My
And we were
goodness.
like,
And
well,
that
who
does
do you,
happen.
it does
You know,
happen.
there's
Aye,
inquiries
aye.
come in, you know, for the same
Aye,
date
aye,
straight
aye.
after the other.
You're having to go back, and that was just the one band at the time. You're going, I'm really sorry, I didn't realise. And they're like, well, that's not good enough. And you're kind of, oh, you're right, it's not.
Especially with the 4 bands, you know, it's better and more seamless with one person, you know, and know what's happening and can keep track.
Do you know what? I don't think creatives could have done. That was just me and Peter watching it down that day at the Canal Court. You know, you had your wee list in front of you, and as the brides were coming in, you were asking the date, and you were able to just rhyme it up. I don't think creatives we're just not people.
We're not built for it. Like.
No, we're not at all. Like,
I think that's where my background comes in. You know, from you know, speaking with wedding couples previously, from being in the hospitality sector, really. That's, you know, helped a lot. And
you're not scrubbing stuff down, is what you mean? For the best.
And that came from our old boss, me and Conor's old boss years ago. We used to, it's a more polite way I'm going to say it, like, but used to say the creatives didn't have that business acumen, basically.
No, but that is probably right in a way. Like, you know, it is like you're doing your thing. Like, it's not, you know, it's not.
Yeah.
You know, and it was never really looked at as a business.
Do you know, it's funny though, because you'll all, as soon as I leave the house, you know, stories, you know, shouting out the doors, stories, stick something up with stories. But when I arrived at the wedding, you know yourself, you start talking to other suppliers like yourself, or then the bride and groom come in, you're talking to them, saying it's right, they're ready for you, and you're in. And yes, it is simple, just take a photo and stick it up, but then you're having to go in and what'll I say? Do you know, I just want to put a photo, but I have to say something quirky.
I think you get under your thing. Like,
too much.
I know every gig I do, I get a photo at the end of it with the bride and the groom.
Yeah.
So I do, and that is my sort of thing.
Your signature.
But, you know, like I know, I need to try more and get sort of video footage, you know. There's too much going on to try and think about it. I've bought a wee Osmo Pocket 3 now, so I've started to set that up.
Brilliant.
But then the editing, so where am I going to get time, you know? So it is all part and parcel, and it can be hard.
Do you know, but when you're in setting up, you're kind of going, do you know it might work if we put this light there, and you're, as a creative, then your head starts working where it shouldn't, because you're already going, I need to get stuck in here. And then you'll get, didn't see any stories up, you know, I'll put something up once.
So you keep on top of the whole thing then?
Try to, yeah.
Award winning. These are two years he's won
back to back,
back to back, and he's got the public and he's got the
supplier vote, yeah.
And,
do you know, that's massive. Do you know, the public vote couldn't get over it, but when you're hearing from your peers, they're putting you up there really too. Nice. It's just incredible.
That's such a compliment.
It
really is.
That's our big one there. Like personally, that for our peers to respect you like that.
Yeah.
So now it's to conquer the South.
Why not?
Yeah. Well, we won
Weddings
online. We won their band of the year 2025.
Their ceremony is always brilliant too, you know.
So we're still
we got
dipping our feet. Highly commended
this year.
Yeah. You know, so we're still kind of exploring the South. The problem is, as you've mentioned a couple of times, the venues aren't there for us to go and play public gigs.
Yeah.
And the availability isn't there for us now either, that you can take a Saturday and go into the centre of Dublin. We did try it a few years ago. We were in the Hard Rock, and it just wasn't working. You know, because we could only do Sundays, was it?
It was Sunday, and it was in
they were inviting bride and grooms down, and they're going, I've work tomorrow, and I work in Dublin, but I actually live in Kildare, and it's a hard market to get into, but we're not going to stop.
You're very much suited to it, because I think there's a lot of, pardon the pun again, a lot of professional sort of wedding bands in the South, and you're very much... you could name in your hand in the North.
Yeah.
You could name in your hand how many sort of bands are doing this as like a as a full time, where it's running the same sort of operation that you're running. You know.
But do you know what's good about it? No matter whereabouts in Ireland you are, there's that many weddings.
Yeah.
There's a market for everybody. Do you know, and there's still plenty there for everybody to get their teeth into. But it's breaking the market. Our problem is that if we say get a wedding in Cork, and you're kind of going, right, we'll hit this market now, because our golden rule from day one is for every wedding you do, there's always a group of friends.
Yeah.
It's the year that all the friends are getting married, or the 2 years that all the friends are getting married. So you know there's couples there that are engaged. Let's try and get at least one of them, and then you'll get the next one. You might get their brother or sister the following year, and it prolongs like that. But when we drive down to Cork, for example, and you walk in and you meet the bride and groom, and you go, so where are you from? They go, Uri. And you're like, Right.
Well,
Okay.
funny, I was in Ballina last Friday night, but they were originally from Belfast.
Right.
But I didn't know it. Everything was sorted on through WhatsApp.
Right.
And I was doing MC and all. And Denise, the wedding coordinator, like, she's a lovely girl, we always chatting away. And are they from the north, Denise? She goes, I think they're originally from Belfast. And I said, what's going on? So you just don't expect it at all.
You know, so it's hard to tap into that area when you're.
I think it's big. It's hard as well, probably for you, because there's 5 of you something to do that. And that's a big commitment to take on a job in Cork, or
Yeah.
it's different from
And
me.
you're sound
If I
engineer
go
as
do
well.
a job in Cork, it's not really me just jumping on the van,
Yeah.
drive down to Cork, do my hour, and
Do you know, that's the thing too, because
back
there
over.
is 5 of us, we all don't live in the same house.
Yeah,
Do you know,
yeah.
so Joe's band, for example, he's a boy living in
Portaferry.
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 Which
Do you know what I mean?
is
So
why-
depending on what time of day, he might save
yeah.
himself an hour or two if he gets the ferry.
Aye,
And he can't get
aye,
the
aye.
ferry home, do you know? So
Aye.
if you're saying to him, you're going to Cork. Same with Paul. I think Mark lives out that direction too.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? So there's 2 boys that are going, before I even get near Belfast, there's an hour onto my journey.
Aye,
Do you know? And it's hard then to try and say to them, well, we're coming home the same night.
aye.
So-
That's big commitment.
Yeah.
So it is.
Yeah.
We went to England and back the same night, and that was near the end of us.
He said that was enough at that.
Well, that was a learning curve.
We couldn't get out. We were doing a corporate gig, big corporate gig the next day, and we had to be back.
I had to do sound check for 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So what's the best way now? You found wedding help. How do you find that for your business? How do you find it for the?
Yeah, so we get an awful lot of inquiries through Wedding Help, and the emails then come through. But it also directs people into our own website. So then we would find the email inquiries coming through our own website are great. They're flying through. But if anybody's any questions or they wanted to get in contact, you can WhatsApp us. You can get us anyway, really, at all.
Aye.
And for
Instagram.
couples, is the website the best starting place? Do you think
The website plus Instagram will
Instagram.
give you up to date, more recent footage really off the
Yeah.
bands and things like that. It'll also give you other guests from a wedding. You can see their footage, so it's not just really coming from our side.
Aye.
It's their point of view really as well, and you'll see our feedback and reviews, things like that then as well.
Kind of just do your research through
Yeah.
Instagram and get
Yeah.
the social proof there, and if it tickles your fancy, then go onto the website and you'll get more in-depth information, and then you can contact Janet. And
Yeah.
The good thing about the social media is you
We'll
see
be there.
raw. You see raw
Yeah.
footage,
Not
and
scripted. And
not scripted. You're seeing somebody, whether it's a live feed or, as Janet says, if they're tagging us in it or whatever, then it might be a guest at that
So
wedding.
important too.
So
Yeah,
important.
yeah.
like, we
Because
have no
you-
control over that.
No.
yeah.
So you're getting it as bare as you're going to get it, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of great information, and if you're looking to book the professionals band, this is a must watch. So it is. Thank you so much for
Thanks very
joining
much.
us.
Thanks for
Dale,
having
thanks
us.
for having us.
Thanks for having
Very
us.
good day. Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.